young man started out here with us, has now moved to New York and is doing great things. Let's welcome home Rohan Padhye.
I want to tell you a little bit about myself. My parents, they immigrated from India in the 1970s, and they moved my family to a small town called Cranbury, New Jersey. We were the first, thank you, one person. We were the first Indian family to move to Cranbury, or as the town people affectionately called us, the first Mexican family to move to Cranbury. I went back to visit my parents, they still live there. And our neighbors, they voted for Donald Trump. And I feel like Trump got elected because we set the bar very low for our presidential candidates. Like my neighbors were like, oh, we voted for Trump because he seems like a guy that we could get a beer with. And I don't know about any of you, but everyone that I've ever had a beer with, the one thing that they have in common is I don't think that they should be president. Yeah. There's nothing presidential about drinking at all. Like, I have never been in a bar and overheard a conversation between two people that's been like, what is America's role in the ongoing Syrian refugee crisis? But I have definitely been at a bar and overheard a conversation that's been like, who is Syria? I live in New York City now, like Rick said, and I moved there like a little while ago. When I first moved there, my friend was like, oh, you should buy a gun to protect all your things. But I had to sell all of my things so I could afford to live in New York City. And I don't think it would make any sense if a robber came into my house and I was like, freeze! Put down my parents' Netflix password. Away from my brother's Hulu accounts. You know what? Just take my student debt and leave. Like that's all. Yeah, I have student debt and I have credit card debt, and those two debts are very different types of debt. I have student debt because I wanted to pay for an education that would give me a better life, and I have credit card debt because the vending machine in my office accepts credit cards. Yeah. My credit card company called me last week and they were like, we have sold your debt to a third party, please call them for more information. So I called this third party and they were like, okay, what we're going to do is that we're going to take your credit card debt, we're going to place it in a big financial security, and then we're going to place that security in somebody's retirement account. Does that make any sense to you? And I was like, absolutely not. And they were like, think about it like this. Every time you pay your credit card bill, you're helping somebody retire. And logistically, no idea what that means. But what I like to think is happening is that an old man is just looking at my credit card bill, and it's just like, I am 40 Doritos bags away from retirement. So yeah, I started this job pretty recently, and I was trying to bond with my coworkers, and we bonded over music. And I was talking to him, and he was like, who's your favorite band? And I was like, Radiohead is my favorite band. He was like, oh my god, Radiohead is my favorite band too. And I was like, great, what's your favorite song by Radiohead? And he was like, Creep. And I was like, you are not a real Radiohead fan, sir. Because if you don't know them, Creep is like Radiohead's most famous song. And I feel like if your favorite song by your favorite band is their most famous song, you don't know like a whole lot about the band. Right? And if you're skeptical, like think about it like this. Like if you came up to me and you were like, hey Rohan, I had sex last night. And I was like, wow, did you guys do missionary? You'd probably be like, that guy doesn't have a lot of sex. There are like 5 basic like sexual positions, right? There's like missionary, and then like doggy style, like Gangnam Style, cowgirl, crying, reverse crying, you know, the 5 major sexual positions. Yeah, I work in an office that is 90% women. Yeah, that's my office is 90% women. And whenever I tell my guy friends that, they're like, ugh. Gross, ugh. Where do you work that employs 90% women? And I'm always like, oh, the future! I definitely would consider myself a feminist, but I'm not a male feminist, okay? I want to make that distinction clear. I am a feminist, I'm not a male feminist. Because a feminist is like, equal pay for equal work, let's close the gender wage gap now. And a male feminist is like, I think a woman who works outside the house is sexy. Because she's wrong, you know? Like that's... I just recently got into a relationship, which I'm like very, very happy about. Because when I was single, I would always meet girls, and sometimes they would like make me mad, and I would say the wrong thing. And then when I would say the wrong thing, I would end up saying things that I like totally end up regretting, right? And so I was talking to a girl at a bar once, and I was like, hey, can I get your number? And she was like, oh, you seem like a sweet guy, but I don't date Indian dudes because I'm not attracted to them. And I got really mad at her. And I was like, hey, lady, it's 2017, you don't even know me, you're just judging me based on the color of my skin, that is textbook racism. And she was like, have you ever dated an Indian girl? And I was like, oh no, I'm not attracted to them. Yeah. But, yeah. I recently also started smoking pot. I smoked pot for like the first time like last year. And yeah, you know, I'm 30 years old and I decided to wait until I was 29 and I started making really bad decisions. So I didn't get high the first time I smoked pot, and I asked my friend about it, and I was like, why am I not high? And he was like, Rohan, smoking pot is like riding a bicycle. It's going to take a few tries before anything significant happens. And when he was like, I was like, oh yeah, like that actually makes a lot of sense. Because I remember the first like 3 or 4 times I got on a bicycle, I fell on my ass, it was terrible. But then the 5th time I got on that bike, I got totally high. And then I smoked pot again with like another friend of mine for like the 2nd time, and still like didn't feel anything. And I'm just sitting on his couch thinking to myself, I'm like, man, our government has spent like $1 billion over the last like 20 years making this illegal, and I'm not feeling anything right now. There are music and movies and books dedicated to how great pot is, and I am not high at all. And then I thought, hey Rohan, if you've never been high before, how do you know if you're high? And then I thought, oh my God, I'm totally high. And then my friend was like, you've been sitting in silence for the last 45 minutes. What are you thinking? And I was like, hey man, have you ever noticed how the front of my hand is brown, but the palm of my hand is white? Do you know what that means? My hand is being gentrified as we speak. All right, but you guys have been very nice. I'm Rohan Padhye. Take care. Thank you.